Hello, I'm Mia Sines, and my co-host here is Simone Valheim. We're very excited to introduce you to John Gray's Wellness. He's going to be on talking to us about wellness, and we'll be able to ask questions. We want to talk about the frequency of love and healing. We have so many questions, and we're excited for him to come. He'll be on momentarily, and I am passing it over to Simone. Thank you, Simone.
Well, thank you, Mia. Thank you to all of you that have jumped on. I mean, it's some of you, it's in the afternoon, some of you, it's in the evening. Wherever you are, welcome to this event. This is a very spectacular event in the sense that we're bringing to you a man that you might have only known him as a relationship coach. John Gray, men are from Mars and women are from Venus. We know that's for sure. He brought that out to the world many, many years, more than I think 25 years ago. And today he's known more for his understanding of the body as it relates to energy and emotions and love. So having him here with us today is going to be spectacular. We're going to have room for questions and answers. As Mia mentioned before we came online, if you have any questions, please put them in the chat and we'll see what we can do. Also, if you wouldn't mind keeping them really about energy, love, healing, as opposed to, I have arthritis. You know why I'm saying that, because we can't really address those things unless we make medical claims, and we don't want to do that. We really want to talk about energy medicine, the fact that you all know, that I know and see here today, know that we are made up of particles of light and sound. And it's the frequency or the rate at which we vibrate that gives us form. And so we all know that we've got to raise our frequency. And John Gray knows exactly how to do that. He's been teaching men and women how to do that for many, many years. I know that there's a specific lady on today, her name is Therese Santos, who, like me, has known John Gray for many, many years. And she attributes her knowledge of the fact that the rose, is the flower that has the highest frequency. And so she always has roses around her. So she is a love for me. Welcome, Teresa. It's lovely to see you with us. And I hope that all of you will get your questions answered that you have. And let's see where we are with Mia. Mia, how are we doing with John?
Well, we're still waiting. He should be here any minute. I just wrote his assistant as well.
All right. So
So,
how about this, Mia? How about you start off a little bit about why we even came to put this
yes,
together?
yes. This is the exciting part. Hold on, let me cough. This is the exciting part. We've all been in a space of healing or having something wrong with our bodies, right? Or we assume they're wrong. We have a cold, we have a flu. As we get older, we develop disease. And I've had many exit points in my life, and I'm still here, including from the moment I was born. I was premature by 3 months, and I was an identical twin. And when my sister died in utero, my birth was forced. So that was my first exit point that I came through. And what I realized in this time frame, as I am the creator of Health and Beauty Hacks, and that was a beautiful show, and many of you came from that, and many of you came from my email list and from Facebook and Therese and Simone supporting by sending out messages. So thank you for being here. I was diagnosed in April with having what seems like almost stage 4 breast cancer, stage 3 accelerated. We didn't realize it was that advanced or even that it was even there. I was ready to get a mastectomy and have my breast removed and go into chemo if I had to. I was going to have a double mastectomy. And my dear friend, Lori Hart, who's on the lines here, said, you've got to talk to Simone. And of course, when Lori says, you got to do something, I do it because it's always right. And so when I met Simone, I'm going to let her tell you right now, because I can never say it. It makes me laugh, because what did I tell you when we first started talking?
Her words were, and for all of you that know Mia, she's a very strong woman. And so she was on the phone and she said, my name is Mia Sands. I'm having a double mastectomy, chemotherapy, and radiation. Please don't try and change my mind. It's in my family. So what can you offer me? And I stood in my lounge, family room, and thought for a second. I said, you know what? It's not my job to tell you what to do. My job is just to support you. And let's get your body ready for whatever you decide to do. Because we know at an epigenetic level, we can change the trajectory of our health. So that's how we started. And then I said to her, let's look at, when is your operation? When are you scheduling all of this? And she said, 10 days. I said, great. So now we've got time. So that's when we started with the poor man's chemo, which is a Trojan horse. It's made of sodium bicarbonate and maple syrup, and it's boiled up and you consume it. And those cancer cells, which are greedy suckers, they see the sugar coming down, they gobble it up, and then it releases the sodium bicarbonate. So that's what you started with. And then after that, I think it was 3 days later, Mia calls me up and she said, things are working. And I said, what do you mean things are working? She said, things are shifting. I said, great. I said, your order for your LifeWave patches, one of which is X39, are on their way, because I thought originally we would just get her body alkalized and then get it ready for the mastectomy. And then the patches arrived. She put on the glutathione and she put on the Eon patch, one for inflammation and one for the master antioxidants for your immunity. And she wore those for another 4 or 5 days, I think it was. And then she calls me and she said, I went to see my oncologist and they said, whatever I'm doing, I must keep doing. And we're going to reschedule the mastectomy. So I thought, great. And then I think it was less than a week, she called me up and she said, I've canceled everything.
Yeah,
I
it
said,
was brilliant. You shared with me something that I thought was amazing. Simone's father had lung cancer, 2 different types. One on the interior appeared to be a black mass with fingers growing. And she put him on the poor man's chemo a month before his surgery. When they did the visual, the imagery of it, it had shrunk in half in a month. So she said, guess what? Yours can shrink too in the 2 weeks to 10 days that you have. So what I noticed was, first of all, I had to listen to my body. My body was screaming and yelling. I couldn't sleep at night. I was manic. I was very much not, yes, I was in fear. I was in fear, but I was in fear of dying. And I felt like I was dying. Everybody who knew me up to that point, I stopped going on camera and things like that because they kept saying, you look like you're haggard and tired. So when I started on the poor man's chemo, immediately when she gave it to me, my tumors, I had 5 plus, one of them was almost 12 centimeters. It's now down to 3. I am about 10% away from being totally cancer-free in this short amount of time. This is why I'm doing this, because there's hacks into our experience that we can do for healing. And that's brilliant. And that's important. It was so important to me that I heard a message, a divine message that said, you have to bring this to the people. And I'm like, okay, what's that? I got people. So I created this show in a very quick amount of time. It went out for you guys on the 5th of October, lasted 2 weeks, ended. And then I'm like, talking to Simone, we have to have John on in a live talk. This is why I'm a little bit nervous here, but I'm having faith that he's coming. And anybody who knows me knows I'm a miracle girl. It's like, we can create anything, shift that energy. And so what happened with me was my tumors were surface. The doctors actually thought I was an anomaly and used to play with them and say, come here, everybody, come look at this. It was like a training thing. And so they started to shrink. And I said, wait a minute, you're not going to cut off my breast when everything's disappearing. And they said, well, we have to take it. Your nipple has cancer in it. We have to take it. And so I held tight to what I truly believed in, that this was working, and the method that I put myself on a protocol like a warrior around the clock. I set my alarm. Even at night, I woke up until after 2 months. I'm like, I need to sleep at night. And so it was so brilliant. And I said to the doctors, these tumors are reducing. I have to have an ultrasound. I'm not doing anything with you until I see what's going on. And so I did have my ultrasound the end of August, the 24th, and it showed that they were 50% reduced by ultrasound. So then the doctor said, okay, let's give you an MRI. What he first said was, MRIs, when I requested that, MRIs are incredibly expensive. Who's going to pay for it? I said, insurance and or me. I want an MRI. So I kept hearing how expensive cancer was. when in reality, with this holistic side, it has not been what they said. It was supposed to be somewhere between 10 and 15,000 a month. It's not, and it hasn't been. So I don't want people to be afraid. I want you to do your research, do what your soul says to do. So on the second MRI, it was, well, actually in that ultrasound at the end of August, the doctor called, the radiologist in Seattle called 3 times into the room to talk to the nurse, to have her, or to the tech, to have her redo the whole thing, ask me a whole new slew of questions. Finally, he called in and says, I need to speak to the patient. And she hands me the phone, and I'm jovial during the whole thing. I'm like, isn't that beautiful? The screen, it looks like clouds. And I'm like, wow, never heard of anybody talk about, an ultrasound like that. And I said, yeah, I'm an optimist, but I don't see things the way that other people do. And so I get the phone, and the doctor says, I don't know what's going on, but there's a significant reduction in the size of the tumors. And so from there, we had to get the MRI, which was hiding that 11.63, almost 12 centimeter tumor that was only seen in the MRI. So in that, we saw that the tumor at 6 o'clock was completely gone. The tumor at 11 o'clock was completely gone, but had the tracer in. The tumor at 12 o'clock was already reduced to almost not there. The tumor at 10 o'clock was also significantly reduced, minimalized. And then that massive beast that they never told me because they were going to remove it and they didn't want me to freak out is now down to 3. And so the cancer had gone into the pectoral muscle, has now retracted out, was in my lymph nodes and in my armpit and going in my arm. And they said I had to have radiation. It's retracted out of there. The last MRI showed only one that was almost normal. The rest were normal. So we can do things. But what I do want to say before we move forward is, on anything that has to do with your beautiful, glorious body, please treat it as if you love it. This is why self-love is so important. Treat it as if you are a warrior. If you're going to do medical and heal your body in other ways. If you're going to do the holistic side, please do everything that you know to do to be on top of it. I changed the way I eat. I'm killing my cancer. One of the books I read was How to Starve Cancer Without Starving Yourself by Jane McClellan. That set me on this path as well. It was brilliant. I created my own stuff with Simone. My protocol was brilliant. Everybody can do what they need to do. There are people on here, I'm a little bit, you guys, I'm so sorry that they're not here yet. There are some questions that people have asked, and you may have questions too, that we might be able to support you before John comes on. I'm going to mute for a moment, Simone, if you can figure out where you'd like to steer this while I call their office again.
Oh, absolutely.
Actually, I'm calling his cell phone. Okay.
For those of you that don't know Mia, you've now heard a bit about her story. And when I say that this was a very powerful woman that said to me, don't try and change my mind, the big thing that comes out of that is your own self-advocacy, advocating for yourself, not listening to what other people want you to do, but more importantly, listening to the body, get in tune with your body. And it's really interesting. Mia's going to laugh when I tell you this. When she told me that she was a self-love coach, I said, what does this tell you about you? And she looked at me and she said, you're not supposed to use my techniques on me. And that's true, I'm not. But it made her realize that herself, just like a lot of us, we've been flying the jet airplane of life, taking care of everybody. Everybody has oxygen except us. We're the last ones to take care of ourselves, and we need to love ourselves and take care. And wellness is paramount. Notice I said wellness, not healthcare, because healthcare is dead. Healthcare is a whole system which really takes you from one box when you're born and takes you through a process that you end up in another box just before you die, all controlled through allopathic processing. And for a while, I believe doctors are essential. They are. We wouldn't be where we are when it comes to scientists and doctors. But when it comes to medication, I have my reservations. And so that's when I said to Mia, it's not my job to sway you. My job is really to just guide you, give you some information on how to organize your body so that it can heal itself. You know, God doesn't make junk. We're endowed with this huge opportunity to take care of something that is phenomenal, that is created by God, is the creator, and we should take care of it. And sometimes our body feels like junk. And in some cases, our body might look like junk. It's just because of what we do, what we say, and also what we think. So again, Mia was very strong, but knew when she was confronted with the question, what does it tell you about you? That she needed to take some time out and find out exactly what she needed to do for herself. And she did. She realized that she needed to engage herself in more self-love, taking her own medicine. And so I urge all of you, no matter where you are in your wellness program, take time out to evaluate where you are and why you possibly are having some of the things that you've manifested, or why, for instance, Laurie has asked about things to do with digestion. And Laurie has a lot of answers for that because she's like a lot of us, has experienced some things due to COVID. So
John just arrived.
perfect. So
The
here we
man
are,
of the hour.
a bit about Mia and why she decided to do what she did. So back to you, Mia.
Wonderful. Thank you, honey. So hello, John. We're so excited that you're here to join us. We've been spreading out the time, talking until you got here.
Thank you so much. I got wrapped up in another interview and they just had a few more questions. So I apologize, and I'm really happy to be with you, and I can last longer if you'd like me to.
Lovely. And Simone Valheim is my co-host.
Hi, John. Lovely to see you.
Nice to see you, Simone.
She had met you like 20 years ago. So
Yes, more than,
yeah.
with Tony Robbins in those days.
Oh, those days. So you remember my talks, right?
Yeah.
There are a few ladies also on here that remember those talks. So
Yeah. Well,
you're in good company.
Beautiful.
well, those talks, I focus a little bit more on comedy, although still, if I get a big audience, I'll go for it. I actually did that seminar on Broadway, and the biggest theater with sold out audiences every day. And I got burnt out doing it. It's too much. I don't know how Broadway people do it, but they're different people. They're following a script. Every one of my talks was different. So, it's really like having, I needed time to rebuild and I couldn't keep it up. So I canceled that show, but it was fantastic. It's a fun information. And I had to learn to make it fun because the topic was so, in the old days, so offensive to people. And I have to say that it's still offensive to some women who don't relate to the ideas that men and women are different. And I apologize for that in advance. But I think if you recognize what I'm saying is that we all have a male and a female side. And what I found out now hormonally is the science tells us, and this isn't the partial science, this is complete science, okay? There's some partial science out there, but this is a simple test that you can do every day and everybody does it, and women know about it, and it's called hormone tests. And we know now with lots and lots of studies that whenever you're stressed, which means your heart's not open, you can't communicate in a tone of love because you're stressed, you're in some degree of fight or flight, take or fold, and your authentic self isn't happening. We know biologically when stress hormones are being produced, that blood flow stops to a great extent to the front part of your brain, which is the only part of your brain with human DNA. So we're really not our true selves when we're stressed. We're in a reactive mode. As some people say, we have ants in the brain. That's ANT, automatic negative thoughts. So they just happen all by themselves. Nothing you can do about it unless you can get the blood back to the front part of the brain and you can let go of them. Well, it turns out that if you're experiencing stress hormones and you're a woman or a man, blood flow doesn't go there very easily. We have the reactive brain takes over. But if you look at a woman's hormones at that time, when you can measure cortisol being produced, estrogen is going down and testosterone is going up. Now, some people think that's too complicated, and forgive me for that. So I just draw it. When a woman's unhappy, we call estrogen as a female hormone. Why we call it female? Because women, in order to be happy and not stressed, they need 10 times more of it than men. And testosterone, we'll call a male hormone, even though women have testosterone, but men need to have 10 times more to 50 times more in order to behave in a nice way. So whenever a man is angry, for example, or being mean or argumentative or being lazy or grumpy or irritable or demanding, all of that, if you measured his hormones at that time, they'd be actually the hormones of a happy woman. That's how different we are. His testosterone would be very low. His estrogen would be very high. A happy woman has high testosterone compared to a man. And I'm sorry, a happy woman has high estrogen. A man compared to a man's normal levels is much lower. And she has low testosterone compared to a man's. So we have to find, these are simple tests. It's proven now that biologically, we are different. Even if you think you're not different. Even when I describe what women need and how women are, if you're not that way, it just means that you're in role reversal, which means that you're producing more testosterone and less of your female hormones. And therefore you won't relate to everything I say, but you can also realize that I'm not happy. And the reason I'm not happy, if I stop blaming the world or men or women, whoever it is blaming, if I stop blaming others, I can look to myself and go, I have amazing abilities to balance my hormones. And then I can once again open my heart and be happy. So with that, that's sort of a foundation. It just sort of came out of me, but maybe you have some questions for me, Mia, or where you want me to go in this talk.
I love this because Simone and I were talking about what we wanted to have you share with us. And a lot of it was about frequency and about how love, which is what you teach too, how love produces this. So you brought it up with the stress. And very, very beautiful analogy. One thing that I want to say that I absolutely love about as we get older and our hormones do change, at least this is just the woman in me, male hormones, the testosterone lowers and their estrogen raises. And so guess what? They become more bonded to us. That's a good thing about estrogen because normally we're bonded to them. So I just wanted to share that little aspect that I love about hormones.
All right. So let me have another point of view on that. Although okay. I get that you love that because anytime somebody's bonded, their estrogen levels are going higher. Okay. So that's the great thing. So now I'm almost 70 years old and my estrogen levels are much higher than they were as a young man. Also, so I have wisdom. Estrogen gives you wisdom. Don't rush. Look at another point of view. Let's consider this. Let's be with this. Let's learn our lessons. That's all reflective thinking. Comes when you have estrogen. But I also have high testosterone at the same time. I'm a very successful man. I'm confident in myself. I work hard. I go to the gym. I work out. My muscles are strong. I got a flat belly. These are all symptoms of healthy testosterone levels. So I don't get upset about things. I don't get grumpy. I don't get irritable. I don't pout. I'm not lazy. I don't procrastinate. All of the symptoms I just mentioned are quite common with men as they get older. Yes, their estrogen levels go up, but if they don't have their testosterone, they're passive. They're sort of addicted to TV or pleasurable things. They want to go play golf. They want to watch TV. They don't argue about stuff unless you try to change them. If you're trying to ask for more, they're going to pout and get mad and be irritable. So there's a lot of different symptoms, which I describe of men with low testosterone. So you describe the good symptoms, which is they do bond with you. They're not going to fool around on you because they don't have any testosterone. So they're not turned on to women anymore or you. So they're not going anywhere. But I also know that many women feel they become their mother. And they feel like I have to take care of him and they feel guilty secretly inside because they resent it. I don't want to have to be taking care of him. I want him to do things for me. So if you're in a situation where you just don't want him to leave and you don't mind him being sort of passive and whatever, that's great. What I talk about
balanced.
Is to be balanced, right? That's the whole thing is let's find some balance in all of this.
Right. I love that. I was on your site recently with my oncologist naturopath looking at your stuff because I've replaced all of the things that they sent me links for with products on yours. And I have
wonderful.
Yes,
thank you.
And I have to tell you, they are very impressed with your site. And I'm like, you need to refer people to that site instead of to the other one. So that was very cool. Let's talk about some of the products that you have that can help significantly help people. One of the reasons I went to John's site, besides I've been buying the Bravo probiotic, which you guys heard about in the Health and Beauty Hack show. That's a magnificent yogurt that I make for myself every Thursday. It's in the oven right now, just with the light on in the oven. And it's fabulous. I also got berberine from you instead of from them. And I want to share this. I know I sound like a commercial, but I have to. It was actually cheaper and more product in the bottles from John. Just had to say that. Twice as much for about $2 or $3 cheaper than the regular price with half of it from the doctor. So check out the site. It's amazing. John, there's a couple of people who have written me, and I know that you're a PhD and not an MD, so we'll be careful with how we phrase this. But some people on the line have written me saying that they have adrenal problems. We know that that's also part of stress. Is there a product in there that you would recommend besides my favorite, the Bravo probiotic for the gut health?
Okay, for Bravo probiotic, what you need to know is really it's a 3-month commitment, unless you have some ongoing condition that it didn't help you with. The research has shown that it takes about three months of regular use in order to restore healthy gut function for most people. So let's just keep that in mind. And if you have adrenal fatigue, you also have complete burnout of your gut. They go hand in hand, because when you're experiencing cortisol, it actually kills microbiome in your gut. Okay, and it allows for bad bacteria, candida, and everything to grow, which then causes strong cravings for bad foods, carbohydrates, processed sugars, and so forth. And I'm not against, unless I had cancer or something, I'm not against some carbohydrates. I'm not an extremist. I am kind of extremely balanced. I try, but you don't have to worry so much about being perfection. My daughter, one of my daughters, Lauren, is a chef, and she studied different foods for people who are sick. So she really knows healthy food. So here I am, a father who has a health food store with all these supplements. I know for this condition, you do this, and these are things that actually work, that I've seen work in my own wellness center that I had for 8 years. And many of them work for me, and I don't take them anymore because they work for me, and I found my balance place. My daughter, Lauren, who teaches the course for women called How to Get Me Time. It's how to not depend on men for your happiness, so that men are just dessert. Okay, get that. Your relationships with men will be so much better if you're not looking for them to be so great. Okay. When it's easy to make you happier, men do more and they become great. If it's hard for him to make you happy because you're not happy with him, he becomes lazier and lazier. His testosterone goes down. So she teaches women, it's called How to Get Me Time without depending on a man to be happy. And then you learn how to ask, get help. You learn how to appreciate, you learn how to set boundaries, learn how to make yourself happy. All of that. And with that class, she now does no supplements. Now, she grew up, all my daughters and my wife, they all took, for example, the thyroid medicine. Okay. And once you're on thyroid medicine, you're hooked on it. And so many women are taking thyroid medicine. Well, she said, Dad, I don't need to take any supplements. I went off my thyroid medicine. I no longer need it. She did all the tests. She did just using relationship skills and being a gourmet chef. So she has a boyfriend, whether they live together for 10 years, they'll eventually get married, I think, but they're happily in love and they have a great relationship, best I've ever seen. And she uses her relationship to keep her stress levels low. And because of that, she eats organic food. She cooks food. She eats 3 meals a day. She lives like a queen. And she does, because she has a dad who helps her out financially. So she has a beautiful home on a lake overlooking San Francisco on one side, have her own private lake on another. So Dad helps out a lot. Okay. But she's not spoiled. She works really hard. You should see her blogs at my website, but she doesn't take any supplements now. Okay. So she said, yeah, you don't need any of that stuff, Dad, because she doesn't have any health challenges. And she can do all the tests. She used to need the thyroid medicine. She used to be gluten intolerant. How many people today are gluten intolerant? It's just indigestion. And what she says to me, Dad, is that now I can eat gluten. It has no never effect on me because I wasn't digesting life. So I couldn't digest my wheat. Okay. Now she's digesting life. It's so amazing. And I came on your show tonight and you were just talking about digestion. And it's literally everything when it comes to health is about being able to digest life. And then you don't get stressed. If you're not digesting life, then you're stressed. And when you're stressed, it inhibits your body's digestion. And when it inhibits your body's digestion, you can't make brain chemicals, you can't utilize your nutrients, and your body goes out of balance. And then you crave unhealthy things to compensate for low energy, which is the sugars, and that kills all the good bacteria, along with the GMOs and the plastics. So it's really tough today. You know, we got all these things to make us unhealthy. And here's my daughter who, you know, she does eat only organic food. She doesn't drink for plastics. She just has a great life. So yeah, she's a stress-free person. I'm not stress-free. You know, I'm fighting battles every day. I do stuff, you know, at least when I was traveling. And so I took supplements because I couldn't always eat a great meal. I couldn't have a lake view. I couldn't have my own schedule. I couldn't do the things I love to do. I didn't have a partner who was with me all the time. Her husband is like serves her all the time because she knows how to appreciate. If you just learn how to appreciate men, we kneel before you when we propose. We kneel. You don't kneel to us. We kneel to you. What happened to that man? Well, what happened to that man is his testosterone went down because you didn't know how to communicate with him in a way that builds it up. And he didn't know how to communicate with you and do things for you in a way that would build your estrogen up. And that's called relationship skills. So I see the number one issue when it comes to health is relationship skills. However, due to toxicity, relationship skills will not work fully. Due to indigestion already, due to bad gut and adrenal burnout, another thing that could cause it. Other insulin resistance can cause it. Brain cells dying in your brain can cause it. Lots of problems we've already created due to stress we can't digest. So how do you solve the problem of your body getting nutrients? Well, I figured it out. And it's what I call the Mars Venus Wellness Solutions. Every day, have a little lemonade drink to detox. Just simple, easy detox. There's more severe ones, but lemonade, probiotics, and, you know, of course, for 3 months, the Bravo probiotic. But after that, just a good set of probiotics, enzymes to help digest toxins. Enzymes don't just digest food, they also just digest toxins. So an enzyme drink, a lemonade also helps to alkalize the liver and dump bile, which takes toxicity out of your liver. So you start with a little lemonade drink. Then for breakfast, you have this wonderful superfood shake that I invented, which is the only one in the world. And I'm only bragging because you're asking me about it. Normally I teach just relationship, but I love bragging about this because it's the only shake in the world. And I tell this information, anybody else can do it. Nobody does it. I don't know why, but I'm the one who does it. Just like gender differences, we're all still stuck in this idea that men and women are the same. And I'm a sexist. Okay, that's your point of view. I've only got 50 million people that agree with me, but there's a billion out there that don't know it yet. So when it comes to the superfood shake, I had Parkinson's 20 years ago. I stopped it. Now it's early stage, but I stopped it. I started digesting my proteins. And the reason I understood the power of my digestion is I looked at what are the symptoms of Parkinson's, which is involuntary shaking. Okay, that's one of the symptoms. And I realized, what is the symptom of a drug addict if they go off of their high dopamine stimulation of a drug? They go through all these withdrawal symptoms and shake. So I researched natural solutions for going off of drugs. And I went to a clinic down in Mexico, and Dr. Hitt was his name. He's passed on now. He was in his 90s then. And he gave me IV drips of pre-digested proteins. Amino acid, phenylalanine, tyrosine, tryptophan, GABA, you know, all these other pre-digested amino acids to produce brain chemicals. Now, he put it in my veins so I didn't have to digest it. It went right to my brain. The addiction, I sat in a room of heroin addicts, cocaine addicts, OxyContin. There's a doctor there addicted to OxyContin pills that he prescribed to people. And a smoking addict, a sugar addict, somebody wanted to lose weight. Everybody went off their addictions in 9 days, probably could happen in 6, but 9 days sitting in this room all day long, getting our IV drips, just feeling a little tired. Now, if somebody goes off of heroin or cocaine, they don't feel a little bit tired. They feel awful. They feel terrible. It's the most miserable, horrible thing there is. But the brain was able to heal itself just by withdrawing from what was causing the problem and replenishing the body with the amino acids, because your digestion is inhibited whenever you have chronic stress. So stop doing some of the things that cause your stress and give yourself pre-digested proteins to rebuild your body until you get everything back into balance. So I did that program. My Parkinson's went away from the IV drips, and in a couple of months it came back. And then I did it again and it went away. In a couple of months it came back. So I thought, why don't I figure out a way to give myself pre-digested protein so it doesn't come back? And hasn't come back in 20 years. And so what it was, I realized I had to have certain minerals that he was also giving me. I have certain amino acids, pre-digested amino acids. So I said, what's the best protein in the world? Well, your mother's milk. Now, I know a lot of people say we're not babies. They sure behave like babies. Overreactive people arguing and fighting, starting wars, being unhappy, taking drugs, getting divorced. All that stuff is child play. Watch our presidential debate. Look like two 6-year-olds angering with each other. Come on, this is like we are all, every couple that wants a divorce, when I get them in my room, I watch what they do. So defensive, so argumentative. They play ping pong. Every complaint, I hear a complaint, I give you a complaint, back and forth. We all do it. That's called the reactive brain. So what we want to do is get out of the reactive brain back to the front part of the brain, and learning these skills that I teach will help to do that. However, you still have to heal the brain, because right now there's literally every time you complain, women, okay, I see mainly women, so I'll mention to you, talk to you right now. Every time you complain, you're digging a groove in your brain so that as soon as you begin to experience a stress response, that groove gets activated and you go into negative thinking. Those are called ants. Get the ants out of your brain. Automatic negative thoughts and reactions. Automatic. You have no control over it. It just happens. And every time it happens, if you express that complaint out loud, you're digging that groove more, and it will happen more and more and more and more. It doesn't stop until your mind is filled with this. It only gets worse and worse. How do I know this? Because we now have so much research on brain plasticity, is that when neurons fire together, they grow together. If you experience your husband and it feels stressed to you and you say anything out loud to him about that, you suddenly have now created a neuron that says he's responsible for how you feel. So you start feeling more and more negative until you have to just numb yourself from your negative feelings. And that's where the passion goes in marriages. You numb yourself. You don't allow yourself to feel so close that your partner can make you happy. That's what sex is, by the way, why sex goes away. Sex is really saying, hey, I'm going to let you make me really happy. But giving someone the power to make you happy also gives them the power to make you upset. So rather than be upset, you'll give up letting them make you happy. So you tend to pull away. We numb ourselves. We don't consciously do this. This all just happens to avoid pain. Now we have to do is heal that brain. We have to give the brain we have to do the behavior, which is 6 months of never verbalizing a complaint to your partner. I tell you, you'll become a massively happy person. The only person, what you do when you have complaints is you identify what the thoughts are, and you then identify what the emotions are that go with that. Feel the emotions, move through the emotions, and let them go. That's a healing process that I teach. And you get, every time you feel the emotions, and you, by looking at them, analyzing them, you let them go. You find the happiness within yourself. That's called how to get me time, which means how to find happiness, not depending on your partner, learning how to process your feelings. We might go more deeply into that, but right now we're looking at the nutrition, because you can do all my processing techniques and you'll continue doing them because they don't work, because you actually need to have the digested proteins in order for the brain to change and to heal. So what is the shake that I told you, this magnificent invention? It is mother's milk or cow's milk. Now, how's cow's milk different from mother's milk? Cow's milk is hard to digest because it's 90% casein protein and 10% whey protein. Well, mother's milk is about 50-50. So particularly women cannot handle that casein at all, and men can handle a little bit more, but not as much. We need to have a balance of whey protein and casein. Then I read studies showing that mothers, when they have a boy, they actually make more casein and less whey. And when you have a girl, you make more whey protein and less casein. Now, why would that be if Mother Nature figured all this out? We didn't consciously do it, just like we don't consciously digest. Well, boys need more casein because it builds muscle mass and produces dopamine. Girls need more whey protein because it goes right away. It's digested within an hour, 45 minutes, and it goes right to producing more serotonin. So because girls biologically have a stronger emotional reaction to moderate stress than boys, and that's also proven, then what happens that girls with that high stress reaction, the serotonin gets produced to calm the brain down. So you run out of serotonin. So you need more serotonin to sort of balance out the sensitivities you have as women or little girls. Now, little girl's still in there. And anytime you feel hurt, that's a little girl. You're a grown woman, you never feel hurt. You might feel disappointed, but you're not hurt. Nobody hurts you unless you got big bruises around you, and that's physical. But emotionally, it's a little child brain that doesn't understand that if somebody mistreats you, you don't deserve that. The only reason it hurts is some childlike part of you goes, well, if my parents beat me, I must be bad and I don't deserve love. And when you believe I don't deserve love, that hurts because you feel nobody's going to love me. That's a child brain. So whenever you're in these childlike feelings that unfortunately therapy encourages you to feel, and then you do even the worst thing, which is you talk about them to somebody trying to change somebody, then they become grooves in your brain. So now you have more and more stress reactions, more and more, it becomes automatic. Those connections are there. Instead of having somebody disappoint you and realize, oh, there's a lesson to learn here. Every time you're disappointed, if you learn something good and you're grateful for what happened because you learned something good, then every time something bad happens, you feel good because you've built a pathway over there. But no, you have a pathway quite commonly for women to go to, I'm a victim. Now, what they did is they did MRI scans of women who are unhappy and complaining. And what they found is when they begin to get upset and feel like victims, the brain would light up like they're taking cocaine, literally addiction. The brain becomes addicted to those things that make us feel bad, just as it can become addicted to things that make us feel good. So the pathways grow, and that's the neuroplasticity of the brain. Now, the brain is so amazing that you can have a stroke. You can have a stroke, which means brain cells in your brain are dead, okay? Oxygen, you get to them. They never come back. It's never going to come back. And let's say it was a stroke where you lost the movement of your right hand. You're a writer typing. Now you can't use your right hand at all. The stroke, you can't use it the rest of your life. And what scientists have discovered that you can trick the brain into thinking that it works. You can pretend that you have a right hand that works. And the way they do this is they put your left hand on the table and they put a mirror where your right hand would be. So in the mirror, if you look in the mirror, it looks like it's your right hand reflection of your left hand. And then you simply sit there with your intention to move both your hands. I want to use my hands, and you move your left hand and your right hand moves. And you actually, the brain adapts and learns how to move the right hand because it thinks it can. This is like amazing stuff. So if you're upset with, it's like amazing. You can change the ants in your brain, the automatic conditioning, but you've got to stop what's causing it to be worse. And then you have to replenish your body with the nutrients that will provide the support the brain needs to change, because it does need that support. And that support is what mother's milk gave us. When we were babies, we built the brain without eating food, just eating mother's milk, we grew. So everything is there. So I took cow milk, I balanced the proteins, right, for men and women, for boy babies, for girl babies. Okay, so you get the right balance of proteins. It's not heat pasteurized, because when you pasteurize milk, you tend to make it indigestible again. So it's unpasteurized. It's just flash pasteurization, so just to keep some really bad germs out. But basically, it's not long heat pasteurized, so it'll last a long time. So flash pasteurization, balanced male, female, balanced two proteins and the right balance for your gender. And here's the magic. Then there's enzymes added to the powder. Enzymes that will digest those milk particles. So you take your powder, you add water to it, and you let it sit for 30 to 45 minutes, and it bubbles all by itself, and it digests itself. And now you're getting the potency of digested proteins, and instantly your brain feels better. Instantly. It feels like you haven't eaten anything either. I bet your brain feels better because you suddenly just got your pre-digested amino acids. Instead of sitting there for 8 hours, I take it every day, and my Parkinson's went away. But what also went away was my ADD, which I didn't even know I had. ADD is that tendency in men to become impatient, want to get to the point, not be able to sit there and relax, always have to be busy doing something, or any addiction is ADD. I depend on high stimulation. I can't just relax and have a conversation. And women, your ADD changes, and you don't know you have ADD either. I wrote a whole book on this. It's over there called Staying Focused in a Hyper World. It's Natural Solutions for ADD, Brain Function and Memory. women, your symptom of ADD is you can't turn off your brain. You can't turn it off. You're thinking about this and thinking about this and thinking about this. And then you feel stressed because you can't solve all those problems you're trying to. You can't relax. You know, couples, they always say to me, why don't you have sex anymore? They always say, oh, we're too tired. I said, no, when you were dating, you weren't too tired. This is your ADD. You're just exhausted thinking about all the things you have to do that you can't do and you're trying to do. And men are exhausted because basically what happens for them, they run out of dopamine. Remember, for men, they need more casein to produce more dopamine. Dopamine motivates you. So man gets home, he says, oh, we can do it tomorrow. Put it off. No motivation to do it now. And she's like, we have to do it now. We have to do all this stuff now because she's in a stress state and she doesn't have enough serotonin. So you've got to get your building blocks of dopamine and serotonin. Now, Marco Ruggiero, who invented the Bravo yogurt, he says that if you make your yogurt and you take 2 tablespoons of it and you put it in your shake while your shake is digesting for 30 to 45 minutes, he says exponential potency of benefit from that yogurt. So that's what he says. And he also did a study on it, and he found in the Swiss labs that when you let it sit for 30 to 45 minutes and then drink it, the ability of the body to utilize those proteins is 3 times greater than any other protein you could eat on the planet. So let's say you have a vegan shake or you eat a steak or have eggs for breakfast. You're really only digesting between 25 and 30%. A soy shake, only 20% of the protein you're benefiting from. And the rest is toxicity that you have to expel from your body, or some of it turns to sugar to raise your blood sugar, which you don't want to do. With the Superfood Shake, add the yogurt to it. Since a lot of you are tuned into the yogurt, there is a little sugar in the shake, so it tastes good, but also you need a little insulin to deliver the nutrients into the brain. But if you're insulin resistant, for some people, it still might have a little too much sugar. And you know that because if you didn't feel energized afterwards, which I do, you would feel a little tired afterwards. That means your blood sugar went too high. So you avoid the blood sugar going too high, and it still tastes great if you put Bravo yogurt in it, because while the yogurt's incubating, it uses up the sugar. So it's an amazing combination of Bravo yogurt and Superfood Shake. It's a marriage. It's fantastic, but it's not the whole picture. Because whenever there's any addictive tendency, ADD, you've got brain cells are dying. Brain cells are always dying. They're closing up. It's like if you have take cocaine, you lose 30% of your dopamine neurons. They don't fully go away, but they're on their way out. They'll go away in a day. So your capacity, if you take cocaine, for example, or a big complaint, same thing, is that big trauma, you're a bit upset, you lose about 30% of your dopamine neurons, because what happens is, if you look out, the neurons close down, and if they stay down, they will disappear after a while. And that's Parkinson's. That's why I got Parkinson's, or it could be dementia or Alzheimer's, depending upon your body personality. And that's happening so much of the time now. But the actual thing that's happening is high stimulation could be danger, being at war, being with a partner you don't feel safe with, and complaining about it and trying to change them. That's the main thing, is when you use complaints to change somebody, then you produce a real strong pathway. If you just have complaints inside and you let them go by finding love and support in other areas, and you come back to feeling loving, then those negativity, you're training your brain to let go of negativity rather than using negativity to get what you want. Never, ever use negativity to get what you want. That's what monkeys do. Okay, I step on your foot and you're a monkey, you go, ow. And then I step on it again, you yell louder and you yell louder. Why? Because monkeys can't communicate. They don't know how to communicate in words that are heard. Now you can say you're communicating to a man, but if you're not getting the results you want, you're not speaking his language. You got to learn the language of the person you're talking to if you want to be heard. Well, he should learn my language. And I say, yeah, he should. He'll get more from you too. But if you want to get more from him, you need to learn his language. It's both sides are always responsible. But I've never met any woman who wants a divorce who actually understood how she created the problem. Never. They'll say, oh, I did this and this and this, but it's because he did that. Yeah. I remember one woman who husband wanted to leave her because she cheated on him. She had 3 sessions before she admitted to me that she cheated on him. She told me how loving she was and how he was not loving to her and not loving to her. So what you do to justify your own negativity is you have to create a story of how bad your partner is. This is what monkeys do. This is what children do. Yeah, I did that, but you did that to me first. This
Well,
is
it's
not
about,
accountability.
isn't it about raising our emotional intelligence? We have to do the inner work to get past the stories, right? To get past that monkey mind that you're talking about. And people don't do that. So they need to.
People don't do it, and it is emotional intelligence. I don't think emotional intelligence is enough without gender intelligence, but emotional intelligence is the key, and people don't do it because they don't know it. Nobody's taught it to them. Nobody has taught them emotional intelligence. Now, I've got a little book over here called What You Feel You Can Heal, and you can read it in an hour, and people say they learn more than 2 years of psychology class that they really learned anything.
Yeah.
It's not that hard to understand, but it needs to be taught to us. But then you also have to have gender intelligence, because you can know how to process your feelings, but you have to also know how not to get upset in the first place. Now, I'll give you the example of this, because back in the day, this is 40 years ago, a friend of mine, Jack Canfield, we both became bestsellers. He was Chicken Soup for the Soul, and I was Men Are From Mars, Women Are From Venus. And we were buddies beforehand. We practiced our self-esteem techniques to become successful, all worked. But Jack said to me, because I teach people how, if you're upset, how to let it go and be happy. How to let go and be happy. And Jack said to me, he says, John, I see that you're like a master of if a cow comes into your house and lays a cow patty, you know how to get rid of that cow patty, but you're still leaving the door open. The cows are going to keep coming in and laying the patty. And I realized, yeah, it's true. You have to understand why you're getting upset in the first place when there's no reason to be upset.
Yeah.
And it's not a big deal. It's not a problem. You've got the answers inside of you. And that's why Men Are From Mars, for people that love it, which is maybe 100 million people on the planet, just love those ideas because they work for them, is because it made sense. I'll say for women, also men buy it more than women, but women got it started and women love it because it helped women to interpret men's behaviors in a way that didn't make you feel unloved. I'll give you an example. This is a simple example. There's so many examples, but one is if a woman doesn't trust a man, let's say you share your feelings and he laughs at you, or you're upset about something. He says, that's ridiculous. Or he says, you shouldn't worry about that. That's not a big deal. Oh, I'll handle it. Why do you get involved with that? Just quit that job. I'll support you. Whatever he says to diminish you, he thinks he's helping. So in Men Are From Mars, I teach men, don't solve problems when women are upset. Just listen, help her understand, feel understood. Try to understand life from her point of view. You don't have to agree with it, just validate it. It's understandable for her. That's a very important lesson for men. They didn't know. So men will come up to me and say, oh my gosh, when you taught me that, changed my whole marriage. I realized I just need to listen more and not give all my answers. And she's happier. Men were so happy to do that. Women, on the other hand, one of their most popular ideas they loved, although there's many in there, I kind of want to spend the whole time talking about that, but those books are there. That's Men Are From Mars. And the better one is even beyond Mars and Venus, teaching women how you can use your man to come back to your female side if you're stressed. However, what women learned in Men Are From Mars is that often if a man was stressed, to cope with stress, his best coping mechanism is not to talk about his feelings. His best coping mechanism is to rebuild his testosterone by taking time to detach and forget the problems that need to be solved. Something is very hard for you when you're overwhelmed. You can't forget. It just keeps coming back. I got to do this. I got to do this. Well, men have the ability, because we have different hormones, testosterone, we can just go, okay, I'm going to forget it. Now for me, because I'm more kind of a enlightened guy, I meditate. I can just meditate and forget all my problems. My stress goes away. My testosterone comes up. My heart opens. I have more energy for my family. Most men don't have that, but they can just sit and watch a football game and they may not spiritually evolve, but they're able to cope with stress. They can also play a video game. They can also get addicted to the video game. But if they work hard, they play their video game, they take time to forget their problems, they'll feel better. But they'll stay in their cave. But the most important thing is when a man goes to his cave, a woman feels ignored and she thinks he doesn't love me. As soon as you assume my husband doesn't love me because he's in his cave, he's ignoring me, he's doing what he wants to do, he's working really hard on that project, you interpret it, oh, he must not love me, not value me. And one of the reasons for that is that when a woman goes to her cave, let's say I say to my wife, what's going on? What's the matter? She says nothing, and she won't talk to me about anything. not understanding women, I'll just say, good, I'll just go watch TV. but really what it means is she doesn't trust me. She's upset with me in some way. She won't talk to me because she doesn't trust that I'm a good listener. She's closing her heart to me. Even when I say, come on, tell me. No, I'm not going to tell you. I'm not going to tell you. That's it. I have nothing. I'm done. That means she's closing her heart to me. If you ask a man, what are you feeling? What's going on? Nothing. I just want to go, watch this show. You feel like, oh, he must be angry with me. He doesn't trust me. He thinks I'm not there for him. No, that's not true. He's different. He doesn't need estrogen to cope with stress. If you can talk and somebody cares about what you're saying, your estrogen goes up. Why? Well, let's look at some of the evidence of that, which is common sense evidence. Now we know there's these the stress hormones are fact, but if you look at counseling where people usually just talk, 90% of the people who go to counselors are women. Why? Because women can feel better if they can just talk about their problems. And why does therapy work? Many times, it doesn't always work, but it works many times because the woman is not complaining about, if I have a woman come into my office, she's not complaining about me. She's complaining about her husband. So she's talking about her feelings without trying to change somebody. She's there because she's trying to feel good. Now, occasionally she doesn't get benefit because she's trying to impress me as a therapist. He's like, you should not try to impress your therapist. Their job is to impress you. They should be there for you. But some women want me to occasionally that would happen. Like that woman who talked to me for 3 days about how good she was. And then revealed that she cheated on her husband. I mean, what she was doing is she's telling me all how bad her husband was just so that she can impress upon me to see she's a good person. Then she gets no benefit by talking about feelings. She actually gets more grooves in her brain that just make her see life more negative. Because this is what happens to the brain when you have a stress response. Whenever you have a stress response, your brain goes into a dramatic bias to only see the negative. You cannot see the positive. When you're in a stress response, the brain, literally, it's like, and it's more so in women than men, but because your amygdala fires, blood flow, 8 times more blood flow for you goes to the hippocampus. That's your memory. Now think about the hippocampus as a library. On the first floor are all the good memories, which is why you love this guy, or you love your job, or you love life, whatever it is, all those good memories. And then you've got the second floor is all the reasons, all the mistakes, all the painful moments, all the disasters, all the bad things that ever happened are stored on the second floor. When you have a stress response, your blood flow goes to the amygdala, and it's literally like you get in an elevator at your library and you push the second floor and the door opens and all you can think about is negativity. All you can see is negativity. You have temporary amnesia of any good thing he's done. You have temporary amnesia of all the joyful moments that you had as a child, all the joyful moments you've had in your life, all the things that you're grateful for. Zip, in that moment, they're gone. You're living in an altered reality. You're only seeing partial truth. And that's why we see so much craziness in our country right now. We have partial truth always being spoken. I love to watch this and I laugh because I watch Fox News and I watch MSNBC. And I'm informed on both sides. And I always see how Fox News omits anything which is true the other side said, and how the MSNBC always omits anything good Donald Trump has done, whereas and Fox is exaggerating that. And I mean, it's just like two children. And they just get away with it. And they say, these are the facts and this is the truth. And they're liars. And they're both saying it back and forth. This is because
it's a problem we have in society right now where
it's a problem. It's a problem we all have inside ourselves.
Well, right.
That's what's happened.
Do the work, everyone, and elevate above. I mean, literally, it's about the connecting of the emotions, because that's why humanity is going crazy. They're not feeling heard. They're not feeling comfortable within themselves. Is that true?
Let me correct that. A little addition.
Okay,
I would add
and then I want to get back to some products as we're about ready to wrap it up. But yes.
Okay, wrap it up. It's not that we're not all in touch with our emotions. It's that women are not in touch with their emotions. That's the problem. Men are not listening and validating those emotions, and women. It's like men expressing emotions just increases more estrogen in men. Only angry, mean, awful, terrible men, they're just disgusting. They're all high estrogen, low testosterone men. It's amazing. And unhappy, overwhelmed, bossy women, they're all testosterone driven.
So
They need
let's
to come back. Okay, so
Don't have any of
let's
those.
give them, let's for that kind of health stuff, we would put them on the Bravo probiotic, right?
Yes, yes.
The Bravo probiotic. The shake that you mentioned, it's what I've been doing through Isogenics, which is how you've had yours made, you said, right?
It's very similar to my
Yeah.
shake. It doesn't have the superior balance, but it's still a good shake. Let it sit for 30 minutes though.
I
It's
would
also
mind
got the
sit for 40 to
enzymes.
45.
Yeah,
Yeah.
40 to 45 minutes. In that
Yep.
range, you're going to get
Yep.
digestion. So you're going to use that shake. It's a great shake. There's no question about it. I have a bias towards mine because I balance that, but still, it's a great one. Okay.
Lovely.
So either one, go by taste. Go by taste. That's all good. Now, the next thing is super minerals. Super minerals for men and women. These are minerals that rebuild your brain. These are the minerals that rebuild the brain. And the one you won't find anywhere else except in super minerals for men and women, with the right balance of all of them, because I have a balance for men and a balance for women. What you can find is the most thing that women are running low in, and men, is lithium. Lithium is a mineral that used to be in our food. It's not there. They give lithium to depressed people, bipolar people. It knocks away the extreme moods, but then it has a side effect, which is not good. The side effect is because you give them 500 times the dose. Psychiatrists give 500 times the dose that I recommend that works, because I have a superior form of lithium bonded to mother's milk.
And is that in the shake? Is that in the shake?
No, it's not in the shake.
Where do we get that? What's the name of that?
I'd put it in the shake. It'd be fine to put it in the shake. It would just make the shake too expensive. Minerals is another product altogether. It's $25 for a month's supply.
Okay.
But lithium is not promoted anywhere because there's no profit margin on it. And if everybody knew about lithium orotate, not lithium carbonate. Lithium carbonate is for extreme conditions where the side effects are okay because the condition is so extreme. It will stop bipolar, but it now attacks the thyroid and the body, and that causes side effects only because it's a salt and you're giving yourself 500 times the dose of salt that you need. So yes, that's a bad thing to do what they give, but a healthy dose is what you would get from a healthy meal with beets and mineral-rich food. The beets are the highest form of lithium, and beets are also the highest content of sugar, one of the highest contents of sugar, because when you have sugar, it depletes your body of lithium. So anytime you have that high blood sugar spike, you just lost your lithium. Now your brain function goes out of balance. And what happens then is you start craving extremes. You start having strong reactions to things. Your stress levels go up. You have adrenal burnout. There's also a great product of just generally getting straight right from the adrenal gland of pigs, is you can get desiccated adrenal gland that will immediately start repairing your adrenal gland, which is really good. There's Chinese, that's called just adrenal support on my website. Fantastic product. You also have RX for women. Every woman should be taking this. If you're in menopause, you definitely can take it because it's going to take away symptoms. Before menopause, it causes you to not have PMS and all those hormonal imbalances. And there's research to back it up. There's no side effects of RX for women. It's from Korea. 3 Korean herbs known for thousands of years to help women balance their hormones. And you need more help than ever to balance your hormones today. Also, once you're in menopause, it helps balance your hormones then, because every woman with after menopause, you have low estrogen. It's not a problem. You can still have orgasms. I know women 85 years old having orgasms because their hormones are balanced. Low estrogen balanced with lower testosterone. And then you think, well, where's the sex drive come from if she has low testosterone? Because testosterone does create the desire for sex. The testosterone will start to rise if her estrogen levels goes higher. If you get the right balance of higher estrogen, feeling I have support in my life, I don't have to do it all myself, I have support, then the estrogen will go higher and higher. Then the testosterone will come up without risking lowering the estrogen. So it comes, the sex drive is still there if women have a balance, but sometimes they have adrenal burnout. And adrenal burnout means you have to repair the adrenal. Nothing better for that than the Bravo yogurt and the shakes and the minerals. So that's my wellness solution. Good. And then there's extras in there, like the berberine for blood sugar levels. That's just so good. But just to know, if you have blood sugar issues, there's another product that Dr. Nieper discovered which is called membrane support. Whereas berberine helps to balance blood sugar. But why do you need to balance blood sugar in the first place? Is because you have insulin resistance, and insulin resistance is due to injury of your neurons, of your cells to absorb insulin. Membrane support, which is called 2-AEP, aminoethylate, something like that, with magnesium, potassium, and calcium. You take that substance, mineral support for 3 months, and your insulin resistance goes away because you actually healed the cell lining of your cells. That's, if you're doing berberine, I recommend also doing membrane support. So really good.
Beautiful.
If you find yourself with ADD symptoms and you're overwhelmed, women, taking grapeseed extract and vitamin C. And I give all the right balances and all the suggestions. It's kind of overwhelming for me to get on that roll. It's a free download from marsvenus.com. It's my wellness solution 400-page book. But it's digital. You don't have to read the whole thing. You look at what condition you want to treat naturally,
Beautiful.
and it will take you right to that section and recommend many of the things that I have seen immediately helpful and useful to you, and you can benefit greatly from it.
Before you go, please, I have a question for you. A lot of the stuff that you've talked about is very mind altering for some people. It's just, it makes our synapses go crazy because it's amazing. What do you have any type of stem cell? People are writing and asking about stem cell stuff. Do you have any stuff like that? I know that Simone is quite familiar with that on your site.
I'm not in any way against stem cell support. If you have a vulnerability towards cancer, though, you should be very careful. I would not do it. I know there's stem cell support products. I don't have those on my website simply because I don't know if you have potential cancer, because they will make everything grow faster, including cancer. So I stay away from it.
I've been taking X39, which is a stem cell LifeWave patch. And
LifeWave patches are great. Okay.
Yeah. And for some reason, it hasn't done that for me, which I'm grateful for. And I also use it to stimulate my third eye, and I use it on my neck to make it lovely.
X39, I'll try that. I like that. I like to experiment with everything, but now I have LifeWave patches here, but I don't have X39.
Yeah.
Well, John, I'd love to circle back with you because I know there's lots of people that are just hanging on every word that you've just said about LifeWave. I'd love the opportunity to circle back with you and maybe in the next day or so to talk about X39.
I'm also happy to send Helena a packet of mine.
Absolutely.
I have 8 of them, and you can
Great.
try them. So
I like it. I like it. I have the other LifeWave patch, and I like that too.
Excellent.
The general one. So again, but where I was rolling with that is, I forget what your question was, but it was anyway. Oh, about stem cells. Yes, I've done stem cells. Several different types, and I like them very much. I think stem cells are fantastic. I do a treatment right now. Maybe that's also why I'm so vibrant and healthy at 70 years old, or almost 70. But I do my other stuff. I'm also maybe the same. I don't know. But I do lots of things for myself. And one treatment as well for stem cells, but it's very expensive. Not everybody can afford it, so I don't talk about it, but I'll mention it. They take your blood, they spin it around, they get your blood serum, and then what gets released is these potential stem cells, and they release it by aiming a frequency of laser on it. And then that laser frequency, they bond with that frequency, and they put that back in, they put that blood back, the blood plasma back in your body with the activated stem cells. And then they aim the laser at your brain or wherever you want it to go. And the stem cells actually go to those places. That's quite an amazing future treatment. But I like the LifeWave patches, and I didn't know that they had one for stem cells, X39, and that you've had great results from that. That sounds like really good fun to do.
Awesome.
I do the extras for fun. I know my basic stuff works. And my daughter, because she's got the relationship skills down and she doesn't eat toxicity and she's never stressed, because she figured out how to do that. Imagine, so many people have gluten intolerance without any supplements or anything. She's eating bread all the time. She's having ice cream. Her blood sugar is balanced, her thyroid, because, things like your gluten intolerance and thyroid, you can test, you can see, how's your thyroid going? And she normalized it, all without supplements, all with good relationship skills. I couldn't do that. Okay. I have a stressful life. I have to eat at restaurants sometimes. I have to go places. I have to wait in line at airports. I have to go and plane, all that stuff. I need extra support. So I'm not a believer that everybody has to take supplements. I think everybody has to be stress-free. Love is a very important part of it. But if you have stresses in your life that you can't avoid, you don't have daddy buying you a big house on a lake, worrying about all your bills. You're quite free. You're more stress-free with she's got the best husband I've ever met, but she trained him to be the best husband. I'm telling you, all you women, if you were to check out her course, How to Get Me Time, it will blow your mind. Because if you've had challenges in relationships with men, and most women have, it's because you don't understand men and you don't understand your own hormone system, how to keep your hormones balanced at if you're beyond menopause, at different shades of the moon. Okay. And if you are before menopause, at different days of the week, you actually need different kinds of support that you give yourself. And so she outlines that all. It's a big picture. It's a big story. It's called How to Get Me Time. And a lot of lonely women say, I don't need me time. I've only got me time. And they misunderstand the title. The title is How to Get All Your Hormones Balanced Without Depending on a Man and Having a Life. Then a man is just dessert.
Yeah, that's beautiful. Thank you so much. It was lovely to have you. I'm so grateful that you participated in the Health and Beauty Hack show. Gotten a lot of response.
I didn't realize it was Beauty Hack. Let me say one other thing for beauty.
Yeah.
Ladies, MSM. Have you talked about MSM?
No.
MSM, another cheap supplement. If I was to do 2 supplements, and they would just be lithium orotate and MSM. I just want you to know, lithium orotate and will lower the stress. MSM for your beautiful skin, hydrating your skin. And what I learned, even with that, what I saw for men, I only eat 1 meal a day, and I drink maybe a couple of cups of coffee a day, sometimes just 1 cup. The rest is just water. I'm fine with that. I'm vibrant with that. Anytime you discipline yourself as a man, your testosterone goes up. As a woman, it's not a good thing. You should have nice 3 good meals and so forth, be comfy, but men have to be tough. And particularly as I get old, I want power, strength, confidence, good health. I want to be able to make a difference in the world. I don't want to wimp out and become an old man. So for me, I have discipline that I follow. But anyway, so that's one discipline. But when I drink coffee, it would dry out my skin, and it would just not be, it'd be kind of like pasty and dry. And so then I learned about MSM. MSM is sulfur. It's how your body rebuilds your skin. It moisturizes your skin naturally. It softens your skin. It makes your skin radiant, and it's cheap. You take a glass of warm water in the morning. Always good to drink warm water first thing in the morning. Add a teaspoon of MSM. It's a powder, and it's bitter. And after a while, you'd be surprised how much your brain loves bitter. Because see, we're way out of balance loving sweets. If you love sweets, it's because you don't also love too much loving sweets. Then you're not loving bitter. So that's where you go over to the other, balance out the sweetness with the bitter. And it's sulfur. And sulfur is the thing that rebuilds your body, takes away aches and pains, detoxifies your body. So start with a little bit, because it will detoxify you, and then gradually build. It would be in my super cleanse drink, except that you have to regulate MSM. You have to start very little and then gradually increase it. And it will rebuild your skin. It rebuilds your joints. It rebuilds pleasure in your body. It's an amazing substance. I highly recommend it. It's very cheap as well. And you'll say in the beginning, oh, it's too bitter. No, your brain over time, a week of it, your brain would go, I can't wait to have it. It just has to learn, because we are addicted to sweet to a great extent as a society. So this is another good thing for beauty is, and there's all kinds of beauty products, of course, but the foundation of everything is sulfur. So if you look historically at the 2 most powerful places for healing were always the waters, the healing waters, and they're either sulfur waters or they were lithium waters. Lithium waters, a natural mineral in the water, would take away people's depression and help them sleep better, take away anxieties. And sulfur would take away their pain and take away and make your skin radiant and beautiful. So those are your 2 most cheap, lithium orotate and MSM, 2 basics that everybody could benefit just as an add-on to whatever great products you're doing.
Fabulous. Fabulous. Thank you so much.
Oh, you're welcome.
To have you.
And Simone, thanks for inviting me as well.
Oh, I look forward to speaking to you soon.
All right. Thank you all so much.
Thank you. Bye.
Okay. Bye-bye.